Oh my God, Latin night again.
2.0, baby.
2.0, finally. It's happening again. It's happening again. You're stuck with us today. Uh, Hola, and welcome to The Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality, and you can always come to us to quench your thirst. I am Eduardo, the Mexican representative of this podcast. I'm here to talk shit and get hit. I am drinking water today. I need to stay hydrated because it's pretty late. So, yeah. But I'm excited to talk about this episode. And who better to talk about it with than you?
Yeah, it's me, River, the Brazilian correspondent here on The Cup. And today I am drinking water out of my Madrid mug because I wanted to match my shirt and because Spain. Um,
Yes. I mean, we got a lot of
I
references
chose
to
one
Madrid.
thing from the colonizer and one thing from the colonized because my shirt is the Argentinian icon, Mafalda.
Icon. Icon.
My
Love her.
girl. My girl. If you know, you know.
She is my girl.
She's the
Anyways,
one.
before we get
She is
started,
the
make sure to like, subscribe, do all of the things. Down in the description, you'll also find our merch where you can buy yourself a cup mug and a cup bottle and a lot of other things. So make sure to get your cup merch. There are no excuses because they ship internationally and globally, except if your country is under fire, underwater, or on fire, in which case there are some excuses, and our thoughts and prayers are going out to you. But once everything gets back to normal, get yourself some cup merch. We're getting ourselves some. Don't you worry. We're the only two from this panel that don't have their merch, but we're getting some. So get yourself some merch as well. Anyways, today we're talking about España episode 5, our Snatch Game episode. I am so excited to talk about this. I am so excited to talk about this.
I like it because in international seasons we kind of because the cast is a little bit smaller usually, we get Snatch Game earlier. So
Mhm.
sometimes like this time I was a little like, "Oh my god, Snatch Game already?" Like so, it felt so fast.
Yes.
But in a good way because I mean I was excited to see this cast in this type of improv challenge or any improv but the fact that it was this one, I was
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, this is exciting. But before we get into the actual Snatch Game, we have to go back a little bit. So we get back into the workroom, and Kelly is gone.
Oh my god.
Lord, I am
I
still
wasn't
so
here
sad.
last week to talk about it, and I'm kind of glad I wasn't because I'm devastated. I am depressed. I am vulnerable.
Mhm.
Um, but gone, but never forgotten. I
Never.
am gonna be checking her Instagram every week. You know I'm gonna be
Oh,
checking
absolutely.
to see those looks.
Yes, absolutely. And so uh, we get back into the workroom, and once everyone says, like, congratulations to each other, and we get a mini challenge. We get the reading challenge, which feels appropriate today. And
We usually do get like the reading challenge as a mini challenge when we have Snatch Game. I don't know if it's every time, but it does happen a lot.
yeah, it happens a lot. I think specifically for international seasons, it happens, I think, almost all the time. I'm
Mhm.
not sure it always happens in US seasons, but I always enjoy watching the rating challenge because you can kind of tell who will do well in like comedy
Mhm.
challenges, but sometimes it leads you astray. Sometimes it leads you astray. And I don't know if it was the case here, but
It's a little
uh
warm up, and then we get it, exactly like you said. We can get like on the correct track and be like, okay, but we can kind of like feel what's gonna happen, and then we can be either right about our assumptions in the Snatch Game, or we can be surprised, which is always fun.
yes, it's always fun. So let's get into some of our thoughts in this reading challenge. I was feeling like this reading challenge was kind of mean. It was kind of mean, wasn't it?
The
Or was it
energy
just
was a
me?
bit heavy though, coming from the past two episodes. I think I don't know if it's still like something that's left from episodes past, or if it's something that happened that we didn't get to see. But
It feels
yeah.
to me like it's still festering from past episodes because it feels like we're still divided into two groups, and the two groups, once they're reading each other, they're throwing like really like not shady comments, not funny things, just like kind of insults to each other. And so like Angelita was insulting Mariana, Mariana was insulting Maggie and
Mhm.
Angelita, and it felt very odd to me. And everyone was shading Le Coco's nose, which I was so confused by because I had never realized that her nose was big.
Never. I literally. I
Never,
don't get it. I don't get it. It is it. I. It,
I was confused.
I'm confused. I
I was
don't
confused.
understand. Is it an European thing? Let me know. I mean, who
I
knows?
don't know. It might
Who knows?
be. Who knows? But like Coco does get her like back and does like a really good job. I also
Hmm.
gotta say that Maggie kind of surprised me. I was expecting her to absolutely suck at the mini
Hmm.
challenge, and she did surprisingly well. And so did Vampy. Vampy is a shady
Yeah.
bitch, and I wasn't expecting that either. So
Hmm.
those were the three for me that were like kind of the standouts of this mini challenge.
Yeah, I agree. For me, it was like Likoko was a number one for sure. Because her timing and her kind of like her tone, everything is just it hit the correct spot for me.
Mhm.
Um, Maybe for some of the girls that I didn't enjoy as much, I was thinking maybe some of it got lost in translation. I don't know. But I agree, Vampy was also really good, and I really enjoyed Chloe in La Nina as well.
Mhm. Yeah, they were
Um,
also good.
they had some good jokes, but Maggie had one specific joke that I really loved.
Tell
I don't
me.
remember exactly what she said, but it was about Chloe's eyebrows, telling us that it was 10 past 10 on the clock.
Well,
I
we forgot to mention that Chloe, for some reason, today decided to draw her eyebrows pointing basically straight up, like hello, like antennas.
oh my god, I live
This stupid bitch, I love her so much. I love
oh,
Chloe V2 so much.
so
She's
good.
so stupid. I love her. But in the at the end, we do get a mini challenge winner, and it is Le Coco. Hold on. It's not showing.
Correct,
There you go.
correct.
Hello. It
And
sounds
I was
good.
like, she didn't get any money? Is that real? Because
Yeah,
they said that she won the glasses, and I thought that was a joke, and that they were gonna say that she got because they do have a cash prize, right, for the minute challenge.
yeah, I'm just gonna
I
re-show this. Yeah, normally we do give the girls like some money. I believe we give them 2,500 or no less. We
think,
give them because that
yeah,
was
I think so.
no, I think that's what they went for the main challenge actually. So I think they get like
Oh, okay.
some sort of money sometimes, but I it's been a few mini challenges now in which like the winner doesn't really get money, either
Mhm.
gets like to pick the roles or in this point like gets nothing, which is always odd to me, but you know what?
I mean, they could get like a prize from a sponsor or something like a trip, or they
Yeah,
used to give like
yeah, like
like dresses or whatever, like
yeah,
stuff,
like La
you
Nina
know,
did
um,
win that makeup bag from NYX, so it could have been
mhm,
something like that.
something
But
like that,
now Le Coco only wins a pair of
or like
not real glasses.
a credit for eyewear in like a fancy eyewear store, something like that. But anyway,
Well,
she was the best by far, so that's enough, I think.
yeah, and well, yeah. And this is the moment where we get told that it is Snatch Game.
Mhm.
Finally, it's happening. You know what? I just realized. I think last time we had Latin Night, it was also Snatch Game for Mexico.
Was it?
I think so.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't remember if it was specific. I'll check after.
I
Um,
believe
but
so, but if it
that's
was, that's
interesting.
iconic. It's something
I
about
don't think
Snatch
it's a
Game.
coincidence. I don't that it's hey.
The world is telling us something, truly. But everyone starts getting ready immediately. And Supreme comes in and tells us that we have a special guest,
Hmm.
that we have Poopy Poison coming into the workroom to help out some of the girls. And
Hmm.
I think this is a great choice. Poopy Poison is a very funny drag queen. She's very good at what she does, and I believe she did win Snatch Game. I could be wrong though. I don't remember. I don't know if you know Poopy actually.
No, I
Okay.
guessed that it was a queen from another season because this is the first season of España that I am watching.
Mhm.
But I figured by the context that it was.
Yeah, I believe she won Snatch Game on season one, and she also participated on All Stars, which we don't talk about. So let's
Mm,
not go
okay.
there. But everyone starts talking about their characters and who they're doing, and I didn't know almost anyone. Actually, I only knew one person. I only knew one person. I only knew the character that Mariana was doing, and we will get to all of the characters soon enough.
Mhm.
But uh,
Yeah, I didn't know any of the characters. I know who Unlocking is because of watching
yeah,
4 episodes, now 5 of España, and so I knew that.
yes,
Um, but nothing else.
yeah,
But I'm
I
I'm always like worried when that happens.
mhm,
Um, but a lot of the times I end up being surprised, and this was a time that I was worried at first. I was like, oh my god. Usually I know like at least one or two,
mhm,
references.
yes, yes.
But anyway, I was
Well,
pleasantly surprised.
yeah, we will get to it soon enough. But a few things that I wanted to mention is that I thought it was super funny that
Mm,
Angelita immediately was like super confident, like, oh, this is what I do. This is like my moment to shine. I'm gonna slay this challenge. And I wrote down in my notes, this is probably a bad omen for Angelita. And Lord was it. Lord was it. But
mhm,
after this, I don't think we get a lot of moments in the workroom now, do we?
mm-mm. But
We go
about
straight.
that you said, I kind of forgot. I kind of forgot that she said that. But now that you
Mhm.
mention it, like she kind of did set herself up for fail by saying that.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, she
in her
fully did.
defense, it kind of does make sense because based at least on the last acting comedy challenge, if I was her and I had that performance that she had, I would be going in confident as well.
Yeah.
Because like she said, and it is what she does, and just because spoiler alert today wasn't really the best, it doesn't mean that she's not good at it and all of that. But
Yeah.
it was
And
definitely good TV.
yeah, it absolutely was. And I guess at this point we could talk about also the workroom situation that happens before the runway so that we get all of the workroom situation out of the way. So we get a very nice conversation before the runway in which we get to talk about like ageism basically in LGBTQ spaces and in like especially in queer men and in gay men, and like how once you are basically above the age of 30 you're getting told that like what you're doing is not good enough or like that you don't no longer belong in the queer space. And I really enjoyed having this conversation, but I also thought it was funny that Angelita was the one having this conversation because Angelita has also shown us some, I won't say ageism, but has shown us that she's basically doing the opposite of what she's critiquing, because she's critiquing a lot of the younger girls for being young and for not knowing their stuff. Like, for example, last episode, we had a situation in which Angelita and Miss Cristo didn't want to listen to Chloe because
Mm,
they thought that she wasn't like experienced enough in like choreographing and doing that stuff. And in the end, it came and bit them in the ass. So I thought it was an interesting conversation that like I wanted to also hear from people like Chloe and their thoughts on like getting told off for being younger and for getting told that they're like don't know their stuff. But we didn't really get that. But I also at the end of the day, I think this is a conversation that needs to be had everywhere. And so I appreciated this conversation.
Yeah, I think just the fact that it's being talked about openly and people are sharing their experiences with other like and people are just it's important to keep the conversation going so that it doesn't like we're not gonna end this in a few years, but you know it's the small steps that we're taking.
Yeah,
Um
absolutely.
and I like that Drag Race always tries to give a space to those conversations. Um but it is important, but the context in which it was had was a
Hmm.
little weird because the thing is, if it was just like someone out of nowhere making fun of you or making a snark comment about your age for nothing, like for no reason, that's weird. Don't do that. But
Hmm.
if it like the challenge was a reading challenge, they were asked to comment and make jokes about other people. So like for that,
Yeah.
I think it's kind of the same of I don't know if you remember on season 9, Alexis Michelle being like, don't talk about my weight on the
Oh
reading
yeah.
challenge. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. It's the same. So
Yeah.
I think
It's
like fat phobia and talking about people's weights and all of that is a conversation that needs to be had. But when it's a roast or a reading challenge, all of that, you know what I mean?
yeah.
You're giving permission to things being
Yeah, you
said.
have to take it a little lighter
Yeah.
because obviously it's all in good fun and like people are
It's
gonna
more
immediately
offensive
come
if
for the
it's
stuff.
not funny. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like if it's funny, it's fine.
Yeah, I guess so. That's truly like how I feel
In that
about like
context.
this stuff. Yeah,
In
in
that
this context,
yeah.
in this context specifically, that's
But
the
I
way
do
I feel
enjoy
about a
the
lot of stuff.
conversation. I just wanted to point that out because when it happened, I was like, but maybe I think she was prompted by a producer or something to like talk about the subject, but
Yeah,
it
probably.
didn't, yeah, it didn't really feel natural. But anyway,
Yeah,
we
and
always have that.
yeah, and we also have a conversation between our three younger girls, this little group that we have, between Vampi, La Niña, and Mariana, about their grandparents and
Hmm.
how like they have all accepted them as part of the queer community, and how when we think about our grandparents and coming out to them or like showing our queerness around them, there's always this fear because they're older and they might be hateful or like might not understand it. And I really like also this conversation of, hey, at some point you got to understand that these people are family and you're old enough to understand that like I don't care. I don't really care. Like I don't care if you're gay and stuff like that. And I've really resonated with it because also like my grandparents have been super supportive of my queerness. Like I never had to really come out to them. I had like they found out at some point and they ever since then have been supportive of me, and I was always fearful for that, so I felt like I really connected with this conversation a lot personally.
Yeah, I didn't really in that emotional way of connecting, but I did really enjoy the fact that they were talking about it in the context of the runway theme, right? Because
Mhm.
they were getting ready for that. And what I really appreciated was the fact that I think maybe I don't remember if it was all of them, but I think at least two, their looks was inspired by their grandparents. Like
Yeah,
they
I
were talking
think
about that in the context that it was like inspired. They wanted um to do it for them. So
yeah.
I really appreciated that. I thought that was because I really love to know more. Like I really love the runway part and the looks and all of that. Not only for the aesthetics and the fashion and all
Mhm.
of it, but for everything that is behind that. So I love when we have insight to the runway looks more and more in that.
Yes, absolutely. I also really like finally getting to see more of specifically Vampi. Vampi is
Mhm.
really coming out of her shell, and like
After last
it's
episode, oh my god,
yeah, this
I
past 3 episodes, she has been just coming out of her shell more and more. Like she tried at some point, and she was quickly shut down by Angelita. Then last episode, she said, "You know what? No, I'm actually gonna keep trying. I'm gonna talk about this, and I'm gonna have a conversation about this." And now today, we're finally getting to see a lot of Happy's point of view and a lot of like her vulnerability and her story, and I really enjoy seeing that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it
I
was
watched last episode and this and the current episode today, the same day, like back to back. So Vampy was just from the last episode. I just really enjoyed seeing her open up and know more about her story, and I kind of resonated more with her story than anyone else's.
uh-huh.
Not to the same degree, but like in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Um, with like not really having friends and all that, like that
Hmm.
kind of like the playing alone in a playground, all of that, like being an autistic kid and not knowing that you are is kind of like you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
you're alone a lot, and I'm an only child as well, so it doesn't help.
Damn. Yeah,
um
absolutely.
and she was one of the girls that I was a little I had like a question mark, and I was interested, but I couldn't connect, and I'm
Mhm.
really happy that now I'm able to connect with her a lot. A lot
Yeah,
more than I expected.
I agree. Yeah. Well, do we have any other thoughts on the workroom situation?
From the workroom stuff, um, no, that's it.
Okay, well, we can get straight to the main stage then. And I can't find the song, so I'm just gonna sing it. Ba ba ba
Dun,
ba
dun,
ba
dun.
ba 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 ba. I am so sorry, y'all. I am trying my best. Okay, I can't find the song, but
Too many buttons.
too many buttons, and my computer is too slow for it. I am so sorry. Okay, well, we have some judges. Yay! How do we feel? What do we
Unlocking
think?
always, just always. I
Absolutely.
mean,
I mean, I think it's really funny that Anna Looking and our super special guest judge Valentina have the same hair, basically. I
hmm
think that's really funny. I saw people comparing them to the twins from The Shining, and I thought that was hilarious. Can you imagine just them standing on a hallway, just going over, over?
with this huge hair, fabulous.
Yeah, this huge hair covered in blood, just going over,
And
over.
it doesn't it kind of look like two sets of twins, and then
Yes,
Supreme.
absolutely.
So
Uh,
I can't
and
unsee it.
yeah, now that
That's
you
all I
mention
see.
it, yeah, yeah, it's two sets of twins, and then their mom. Here's Supreme, the mom or the
The mother
grandma. I guess
Supreme.
she
Yeah.
has gray hair. I guess she could be the grandma. But Supreme looks great. I think Supreme looks amazing. I really like Valentina, and I really enjoyed her in the entire episode that we got her. I thought she was a great guest judge.
Mhm.
Uh, and los Javis are there, looking hot like they
I
normally
love
do.
those pants. The jeans. Ugh.
I mean,
It's like the Daffy Duck pants. Do you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? The
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I
love it.
mean, Calvo always looks better than Ambrosi. Like I've always thought this. Like
Mhm.
like Javi Calvo always has better styling than Ambrosi because Ambrosi, I don't know what who styles him or if he styles himself, but sometimes it is questionable. Sometimes it is questionable. Uh, and Ambrosi knows like that basic sometimes is good enough. Sometimes just you have to stick with your strength. And if you know you're hot, stick to that. Sometimes that works. Sometimes that works. But do we have anything else to say about the judges other than they look beautiful and amazing and wonderful?
I'm obsessed with Anna. Like
I mean,
especially the with the last episode. Well, first of all, we have the same government name, period.
slay.
And my second name also starts with an L. So when I write my first name and then my first initial, it also spells out anal. And I also have trauma with that. So I relate to unlocking a lot like
Oh,
that.
oh, Lord have mercy.
Yeah. And I just because the last episode when she had like when they had the runway for her,
Mhm.
the way she got emotional is exactly how I am watching Drag Race or anything that has like emotional scenes. Like that's me. She's
Yes.
me very
Yes.
much.
Yes, I've said this last episode, and I'll say this again. Anna Looking is one of the best Drag Race judges that we've ever had in history, and so I
Hmm.
just love her in every sense of the form. So I'm glad we got to see so much of her, even if it was from another person impersonating her. Which,
Hey,
speaking
I.
of, speaking of, let's get into it, shall we? Let's
Mhm,
talk
mhm,
about
mhm.
all of the choices that were made here. uh should we
Many choices.
go person by person? I didn't write down everyone's character, but I have thoughts basically on everyone. Do we want to go person by person, or do we just want to
I think so.
go
Yeah,
overall?
yeah. Let's go one by
Okay,
one.
so let's start with Maggie. How did we think Maggie did?
Okay, so like I said, I didn't know any of the references, but
Mhm.
if you watched our Mexico season 2 recap, I felt about this Snatch Game kind of similar to how I felt about Mexico's, because for Mexico, I also didn't know pretty much any of the references, but I was still able to understand what the who the characters were supposed to be,
Yes.
and their backstory, and was still able to understand and enjoy the jokes without having the knowledge of the character per se, the reference. For this Snatch Game, for most of the girls, I feel the same way. Like I was still able to laugh and understand most of the
Most.
jokes.
Yes.
Um, but here's the thing: Maggie was the only person that I could tell was doing well,
Hmm.
but I was not understanding the jokes. Like
Okay.
me not knowing her character, she was the only one that me not knowing her character made me unable to enjoy her performance. But I
Okay.
could tell that she was doing well because other people that understood the reference were laughing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Because everyone else I could kind of tell and
Was
that
enjoying
the
it.
jokes were not like, yeah, that it was not happening. But with her, I was conflicted.
Yeah.
But that's
Well,
kind of it. I don't-
yeah, when it when it comes to Maggie, I felt like I got a lot of the jokes. I think some of them might have gotten lost in translation. Like I don't know this character at all, and I will say I only know two of these characters, and one of them is Anna Looking.
but she
So
was in character all the time. Like I didn't know
yes,
who the character was, but she was that character the whole game.
yeah, and I felt that Maggie's biggest strength was basically the way that she messed with Miss Cristo. I felt like them two, like the way that they were interacting with each other really helped specifically Maggie, because it didn't really help Miss Cristo, and we will get to like all of our thoughts to her like really quickly soon. But I thought Miss Chris, not Miss Cristo, Maggie did a really good job like interacting with a few of the other girls, and like I don't know this character, but I thought it was funny that she was always calling Supreme Jorge Javier. I thought it was so funny to me. I don't know why. I thought it was funny. And like just this character just feels so familiar to me that like I really enjoyed this performance. Was it my favorite? No. But to me, Maggie was perfectly safe. Like she was the
Yeah.
definition of perfectly safe for me. So I thought she did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I can
Now,
sum up Maggie with basically if I know that if I knew the reference, I would have liked it.
yeah, that's a pretty
That's it.
safe assumption. Now let's talk about someone that didn't do that great. Let's talk about Miss Cristo.
Oh man, I don't want to talk about my team like this.
Girl, you
Look,
have to. You have
look.
to.
She looked good.
Mhm.
Uh, she tried, but I honestly I could tell that she was thrown off, and she was not able to work with the banter and the back and forth.
Mhm.
I could feel her waiting for people to stop talking to be able to get her line in, and
Mhm.
that's not how the game works. If
Yeah.
there nobody's gonna let there be a moment of silence without doing like you have to find your moment. I could tell even when she was in the middle of giving her answer to, she was asked the question directly, and she
Hmm.
was in the middle of giving her answer, and someone would start bantering with her, and she was not able to play back
Hmm.
or go back to what she was saying and finish
Yeah.
whatever she was attempting to do.
Hmm.
Um, so I feel like it was a mix of her not knowing how to play the game. Maybe she was not prepared for that part. Maybe she prepared the character, but didn't prepare for that.
Yeah.
Um, but and it's not the girls, like the other queen's fault. But if it was me and I saw that someone was struggling to get their character and their things out because I was interrupting them during the game, I would try to do it less.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? But it's
Yeah.
not their fault that she did bad.
Hmm.
But they didn't
Yeah.
help either.
Yeah, absolutely. It didn't help. As I was saying with Maggie, I felt like
Mm,
their
mhm,
banter really only helped Maggie because Miss Cristo, I felt like every time someone would basically throw a ball at her, she would not hit it back. She would just let it fall on her face and like get upset. There were a lot of moments in which like Maggie tried to make a joke with her and she like it felt very out of character, like very like Miss Cristo actually telling Maggie to shut up.
mhm.
And
She
so
was clearly frustrated by one
yeah,
point. Like she could not hide it.
yeah, it was,
And I
and she
get.
wasn't the only one. I felt like there were two people that were clearly getting frustrated by all of the banter that they couldn't
Mhm,
really
mhm.
hit, and I feel like Miss Cristo was the one that showed it, I guess, the least because she kind of still was able to kind of keep it in character, but not really. I felt like the other person really like you could see it in their face, but we will get to her soon enough. Uh, but I felt like Miss Cristo really didn't do a character. I felt like in the end she was just doing herself, and she
Yeah.
just kept getting like herself being frustrated. And like from what I heard and from the judges, once she got critiqued, of course, it seemed like this character is a lot more lively than the way that Miss Krista
Mm,
presented her. And so I was just, it didn't go anywhere to me. Like sometimes you can get away with making a character that's basically you. Like we saw Candy do it before and it worked for her. And we've seen it a few of like a few other girls have done it before. I feel like this time it didn't really work because of how frustrated she got and how she wasn't able to banter with the other girls. Like if she was able to banter with the other girls, maybe it would have worked a lot better. But like I just felt like she got so nervous that and got in her head and she was just unable to banter.
I honestly
Well,
think, because that's the last thing. She feels
mhm,
like somebody that really thinks about things and like plans. She doesn't
mhm,
seem like a person that would do anything last minute or improvised without having at least like an idea of what she's doing. So I
yeah,
think she had a plan and she had an idea of what she wanted to do. I don't think she was able to execute it.
yeah, definitely not. I
But I
agree with
think she
you.
did prepare for sure.
She probably did, but I don't think any of her material probably ended up working with what
Yeah.
she was planning on because you can't really prepare for Snatch Game that much. Like like it's kind of hard. Like you can, I think you can prepare your introduction. Outside of that, I think it's hard.
Oh, I mean the working in like the characterization and all of that. Not
Oh
like
yeah,
specific jokes, but
yeah,
it because exactly that you need to like be in a character and you don't know what the questions are going to be. So there's nothing really to rehearse, just like trying to be in that character.
yeah. But
And that
the
was lacking. That's what was lacking, well, besides the jokes. But there was, like you said, no characterization. Like, who was this character? Have no idea.
yeah, like this was her first time trying it, and it clearly didn't work. Unfortunate that your first time doing improv is on Snatch Game on España, like on Drag Race. Unfortunate, but it happens to a lot of other girls. But let's move on. Let's talk about Le Coco doing Anna locking. Start us off, please.
girl, when she said it, I was a little worried because I
Hmm.
like Coco, and when we have people doing a judge or somebody that is going to be watching like judging them later on the Snatch Game, like when people did RuPaul, Michelle,
Hmm.
etc.
Yes.
Um, it usually doesn't really go that great.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous game to play. So I was worried for that, but she hit it out of the park. I
Hmm.
mean, this I was not expecting it at all, and I was so happy. I was just so happy with it. Um, and I saw something that I think was very smart of Le Coco because I don't know if she probably already had planned to do an unlocking, but um, because I watched the last episode before this one,
Hmm.
I could see that she got inspiration from Anna's personality from last episode and used it
Hmm.
on here. And
Yes,
that
absolutely.
is so smart. Like the
Yeah.
whole like crying and getting emotional and all of that. And she played it up because Anna was already so dramatic and I love it.
Hmm.
And like Coco was able to make it even more, like drag it up more and be more exaggerated. It was so good.
Hmm.
And her being like
Yeah.
to Miss Cristo's character, like, you're not queer. Like, stop it. You're not you're not like that. Oh my god. And she was in character the whole time. Like the
Yes.
characterization was so good and she stayed on that the whole time. So good.
Yeah. Like when Supreme would tell them like, "Oh, you guys didn't get a match," every single time they would cut to Lecoco and Lecoco would be crying. Like I was living. I thought, like you, I got scared at first when like
Hmm.
unlocking is a tough character to do. Like they said on the panel, like there's not a lot of unlocking in like TV or like in like
The reference,
yeah,
right?
there's not a lot to reference of her. Like you can reference a lot of her looks and a lot of her like fashion wise, but when it comes to her personality, the biggest way that we get to know Anna Locking's personality is off of Drag Race. So I got scared that we were gonna get like a lot of half baked Drag Race references that like
Mhm.
weren't gonna hit for a lot of people. But I thought this characterization was super smart. It was super funny. Like you said, I thought it was so funny when she would look at other contestants and tell them, "You're not queer." Like I was living for it. She was killing it, and I was super surprised because I didn't think Lecoco would do bad at Snatch Game. Like if you asked me last episode, I wouldn't
Mhm.
have thought that Lecoco would have done what like bad, but I wouldn't have thought that she would have done this good. Like she
Mhm.
was one of
Same.
my favorites this episode, and I was not expecting that at all. Also, the
Mhm.
wig reveal, that was so stupid. That was so stupid, but I was living. Just so smart. It was a big risk, it was a big swing, and it paid off. And I am so happy for Le Coco because I am starting to really fall in love with Le Coco. Because at the beginning of the
Mhm.
season, you will
I was
know
not living.
I was
I
not
was
living
not
either.
living.
I was not living either. But
Mhm.
now I love her. She's so real and so authentic, and she's also
Mhm.
just good. She's funny. I am
Her
so
sense
glad.
of humor in confessionals, like the blunty. I'm gonna say blunty. The blunty humor. I live. I live.
She's the definition of
This is why I love Drag Race so much. Like when there's a queen in the first episode, and then I'm like, ugh, okay, like
mhm.
is a good drag queen, whatever. Like they're good, talented, all of that. But I'm just like I'm not connecting. I don't see it.
Yes,
And then they change my mind. I love it every time that happens. Every time
I
because it's always
agree.
a different journey. It's always a different journey, and for like different reasons.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm just falling in love with her more every episode. Every
Yeah,
episode.
and the funny thing is I'm having the opposite reaction to some other queens. like I started off liking some of the queens, and then I'm like, oh, the way that they're editing you is not great, but the way that they're editing Le Coco is very smart, and like I'm really enjoying her, and she is the definition of the stereotypical ice queen like bitch that we see on like everyone
Mm-hmm.
talking about on Twitter. She's really good, and I really enjoy her. But let's stop our rant on Le Coco and let's move on to our
I
next
could go
rant.
on.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we
Let's.
have another rant to go on because like we have to talk about our mother, our queen, our icon. Mariana starts doing Doctora Polo. I
Please go
you
first,
start.
because I want to know about
Okay.
this character.
Okay, so this character is actually a Mexican character. Well, she might not be Mexican. I think she's like I know she's from Latin
I
America.
mean,
She
she
might be
is Latin.
Venezuelan.
Mariana said.
Yeah,
I
she's
don't know
Latin,
her.
but I just know I immediately went to Mexico because the show airs here in Mexico. So
It's
I don't
okay. I
know
thought
if
Chavez was Brazilian for the longest time. It's fine.
not the anyways,
When I was
but
a kid. When I was a kid, please go on.
anyways, Doctor Polo is mostly well known for her show Caso Cerrado or Closed Case for those of you that don't speak Spanish. And it is like her being a judge and bringing in like people and like her being this TV judge and like being this personality. And she's super like she's like kind of super mean and
Hmm.
kind of this like I don't know the way to describe her, but she's this TV
Like a Latin
judge,
mother, kind of mean. That vibe of like
maybe
mean,
even
but
maybe
in a
even meaner. Like she goes off.
okay.
She goes off on her
Okay.
show. Like she screams at people. Like the way that in I will just say the way that Mariana characterized Doctor Apollo, it's very similar to the way that she reacts on her show. Like she's
Mhm.
screaming at the top of her lungs, and she's like a lot of like people might know her specifically for a meme because the meme that really brought her to fame outside of like Latin America, I think is this specific scene of like a girl coming into the like her courtroom and saying, "Hello, my name is Luna," and then Doctor Apollo tells her, "No, no, no, your name is not like you're not gonna speak to me in English. You're gonna speak to me in Spanish. This show is in
Mm.
Spanish. Your name is not Moon. Your name is Luna. Shut up. The next words that you're gonna talk to me are gonna be in Spanish. Three, two, one, Spanish immediately." And so that's what she's very known for being this like very like harsh
Strict.
personality.
Hmm.
And the way that Mariana presented her was it was very nostalgic to me to see this character be presented to me because I immediately got all of the jokes. I thought it was so funny. I thought it was so over the top and campy and so loud and kind of obnoxious, but like so into the character. I loved every single minute of this. I love that she called Suprema Lujuria or like something like that
De
and called
lujo.
De Lujo. Yeah, Suprema de Lujo. Iconic,
My
unlocking.
favorite, my personal favorite was when she said about she looked at Coco with being unlocking and she said, "Your name is not unlocking, your name is Ana Buscando." I screamed. I
I,
screamed.
uh,
Oh my
Mariana,
god.
Mariana really just ate this challenge up so hard. And like I thought for a second that my bias was like leading me astray. Maybe like I knew that she was doing well, but I didn't know if I was just living so hard because it was Mariana and it was a character I knew. So like I didn't know if I was just getting like shown everything that's perfection to me like in one package and like I didn't know if the judges were gonna get it like as much as I got it, but I was so glad that everyone got it, that it was just a home run. And Mariana, I know you're watching this. Mariana, I know you're watching this. Bitch, you killed it.
Mm-hmm.
Felicidades.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You fucking killed it. I am so impressed. And like, I am so happy that Mariana did well on Snatch Game. I am so happy.
See, and you are not wrong in how we know how well she actually did. You, a person that knows the reference, knows the show, you have a whole emotional tie to this
Yeah.
performance that I do not have oh at all. Oh at all.
Yes.
And I don't know if I enjoyed it as much as you, but pretty close. Because I didn't know the reference. I didn't have to. I got what it was supposed to be, that it
Yes.
was a strict, mean judge that didn't like gringos coming into her courtroom speaking not Spanish. I got it immediately. Immediately.
Perfection. Yes.
Immediately. It made sense. I loved it because honestly, same. Um, period.
Oh, yeah.
And
Period.
I got my my hopes up when they first introduced, like they first showed her, and I saw like how she looked completely different, like the whole transformation. I was like,
Oh,
okay. And then I saw how in character she was in like the introduction. And I was like, okay, this is what this girl was talking about during that acting challenge. That
yes.
she was
She
waiting
is an
to show
actress.
this.
She
She
is
was
an
waiting to
actress.
show us this.
I
And
also really,
it was worth the wait. It
yeah,
was worth the
I
wait.
also I also really enjoyed the banter that she had with several of the other girls. Like when
Hmm.
she called out like La Niña del Antro's character, like, what is that powder that you got there? You aren't. I was living. I was living the entire moment.
She
Uh,
was like really prepared with the characters and the joke, the specific jokes that she wanted to make to reference that character, but
yes.
also was very good at being in the moment and bantering, going back and forth with other people and improvising. Like
Yes.
it was a mix of both, and knowing and loving the character. Like
Hmm.
you could just tell that she was having fun.
Hmm.
She was having so much fun, and it translated to all of us.
Absolutely. Mariana,
Well done.
felicidades. Felicidades.
Definitely, for sure, my favorite.
Yeah,
Uh,
my favorite as well. Absolutely.
Period.
Now, let's stop our rant about how much we love Mariana. We need to move on. We have to talk about another queen that I love very much, La Niña del Antro. What do we think?
Hmm.
What do we think?
See, here's the thing where me not knowing the character specifically and the reference, I know this. I don't know this specific reference, but I know who this character is. Right? We
Mhm.
have this type of character in every culture, in every you know
Yes.
everywhere. Um, So, because I didn't have the specific reference of this character that she did, I couldn't tell what the judges critique later on of everything of why they didn't like it.
Yeah.
Um, I just she just made me laugh. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I enjoyed it. She made me laugh out loud. Um, she was great, specifically with the physical comedy was so good. And it's I noticed that because I noticed the same thing with the acting challenge,
Mhm.
that her physical comedy was also really great, and that she was in character the whole time, just like she was
Mhm.
here.
Yes.
Like she chose a characterization and went with it, and she was on it the whole time.
Yes.
There was one
Absolutely.
point where she got the handcuffs that were going around she was wearing as an earring, and then snorting white powder out of Angelina's
Mhm.
sleeve, like throwing beer, like drinking beer and spilling on herself, like all of that was just so
Yeah.
good. And then
It
when she
was.
took a dildo out of her, like, and threw it at Chloe, and then Chloe got, and like, that was, I was screaming. She was so good to me.
Lord.
So
Lord.
good. I
Yeah.
don't care.
I thought La Nina did a really good job. I will say though, I did feel, since I know this, like you said, I don't know this specific person that we're referencing, but I know of characters that are similar here in Mexico, and I know a few of others that are popular probably in the USA and everywhere. So I know what this character should be, but maybe it's because over here in Mexico they're not so over the top that I was like, oh, this is wild. This is wild. We're really going for it, aren't we? And so I thought that there were a lot of big swings, and a lot of them hit really well, like the ones that you've said, like the snorting the flower of Angelita, the throwing the dildo, all of the physical comedy that she had. And I thought a lot of the banter that she had was really good. But I also think that sometimes it was really overwhelming. Like she was real, like La Niña delante is already a pretty loud button, and then this character like brings it up to a 20, and so I was kind of super overwhelmed with like how loud this character was, which is no fault of La Niña del Antro. Like I still felt like this character was good, but I felt like this is just not a character that like I would personally enjoy in Drag Race or outside of Drag Race. So like it's just not a character that I personally enjoy watching, like almost at any moment. So I thought she did well for the character that she chose.
Yeah.
It was just like not for me. And I also felt like I was missing a few references here and there
Mhm.
because
I mean, it's
both
not my favorite type of character
uh-huh.
to watch, but for what it was supposed to be, I thought it was good.
Yeah, I agree. And as I said, I felt like missed some references with not only La Niña, but also we will get to Vampy, but also with Vampy. Like
Hmm.
those two characters felt very entwined with Spanish culture, and I felt somewhat like that a lot of the references were going above my head. But specifically with La Niña, it's just not a character that I would enjoy even outside of Drag Race. So it's not fault. This is not like La Niña's fault. This is just not my kind of character.
Hmm.
But I still think she did pretty well. Like the difference between her and the bottom two is pretty significant for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, speaking of,
Mm.
let's talk about Angelita La Pereza doing whatever she chose to do.
It's a an investigative journalist. Yes,
That's what it seemed like.
kind of. I don't.
Tell me your
She
thoughts.
said it.
Tell
I
me your
don't
thoughts.
remember if it's that or if it's like a like disaster news. You know what I mean? Like people
It
that
seemed
just
like
do
an
it.
investigator. Like it felt very much like To Catch a Predator, where they have
Okay.
hidden cameras and they're like, "Yeah, look at the bear. Look at the bear. The bear wants to look." That was the
Hmm.
only funny moment that I thought Angelita had, by the way.
Yeah, she started. She started good, I think. And when she was like doing that with the bear and the camera and all of that, I thought it was going somewhere. But then it just it didn't. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't. Very similar to Miss Cristo, but in her own way. But I think in a similar way, she was also thrown off by the nature of the game and like the dynamic of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think she wasn't able to recover after she kind of got in her head about maybe she was imagining that it was gonna be a certain way, and then when it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't, she was not able to adapt and still do it. And I understand because I can be very much that way as well, a lot of the
Yeah.
time. Um, but unfortunately, it was not good. Where are
Yeah.
the jokes?
Yeah. It just wasn't funny
And
at
she knew
all.
it, which is the good part. She was aware.
Yeah.
She
She
knew it.
she
She was not
she's
delusional.
self-aware,
Yes.
which I appreciated. I appreciated that everyone that did badly
Flop
knew that they
knew
did
the flop,
badly.
and it's okay.
Yeah,
It's
I
okay.
appreciate that you are able to realize that you flopped. Because I'm sorry, Angelita, you flopped real hard.
Because today's flop is tomorrow's slay. So it's okay.
Hopefully, Lord.
Hopefully.
Uh, yeah, as I said, I truly think that Angelita's only shining moment in Snatch Game was the very opening of it, where she was using the bear, and she was like, "Oh yeah, this is just a normal bear, but the bear wants to say hello to you and look at you. Look at the bear. Look at the bear. Please look at the bear. Look at the bear." I thought that was funny. I thought it was gonna go somewhere, and I thought Angelita was like, if someone was gonna do well, I thought Angelita was gonna do well, and then the choice of this character, I think, kind of ended up screwing her over because this character is apparently, from what we were told, is very chill, very relaxed, very monotone. And like we've said before, monotone can work really well in some moments. Like some monotone characters
Like a
can be
Paris
real.
Hilton kind of
Yes,
thing.
yes, it can be very funny to be very monotone and to like have a lot of chaotic energy for you to be very monotone and be here. But you have to be able to play around even when you're being monotone. And I felt like Angelita was just refusing to play around. Like I felt like there were several moments in which, just like Miss Cristo, a lot of the other girls were throwing the ball to her court and she was just getting slapped in the face. Like she was just not playing volley with the other girls. She was not bantering. And I think more than Miss Cristo, you could tell that she was frustrated, really frustrated, to the point where like she started getting out of character and she started like I don't want to see that frustration in your face. Like,
Mhm.
and you could just tell that she was not living for it. And like you said, I think she expected Drag Race to be way less chaotic and for her to have moments of silence and quiet for her to step in and say something or to be able to kind of play around with other characters, and she really wasn't able to do that. So everything just kept falling flat for me. Like there were no real jokes here. Like it wasn't really going anywhere, and like it was. She, my biggest critique is that I could tell that she was frustrated. That's my biggest critique. Like if
And it's
you're,
sad because when they get some, a lot of the times when the queens get frustrated, they stop trying, and that's what
yeah,
it sucks. Because you can
mhm,
you can be frustrated and still try to do what you're attempting to do with your character and all of that, and then
yeah,
do whatever you need later, smoke a cigarette, eat, whatever.
yes,
But like, don't let it affect your performance. We still want to see you shine.
like we've seen this kind of frustration before. We saw it specifically. Like Latrice has experienced this
Yep.
twice now.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
Latrice has experienced two horrible snatch games for her, to the point where, let's remember, on season 4 she was full on crying because of the unprofessionalism that
The
was
level
happening.
of unprofessionalism,
Far too
far too
much.
much.
And like I felt like
But it
Angelita
was
was
not the
feeling.
case here. It was not the case here.
Yeah, and that's where I was going. Like I felt like Angelita felt like she was in a Latrice situation, but in reality, there were a lot of moments where she could have played around with a lot of other characters, and she just kind of refused. And so, like, she got just into her head and like got overwhelmed, I guess, by both Angelita and Vampy's character, which is unfortunate. But speaking of, let's get into Vampy. Let's get into Vampy's character. What do we think?
I think in this picture she looks like Ozzy Osbourne.
She fully does. I This picture makes her look
Like
evil. Like it makes her eyes look like they were carved out of a pumpkin.
like
Like
she's possessed. It's
she looks
This is a
evil.
great picture. Thank you, Logan,
Thank you, Logan,
or
very
whatever
much.
he got this picture. Anyways, Vampy again. Did I know anything about this character? Absolutely not. But she was able to introduce me to this character throughout the game with the jokes. Like,
Yes.
I got that he was a man that pretends to be straight, but then maybe he's gay and maybe he's not. And like, he's that
Yeah.
kind of
He's like a
straight man?
conservative man that clearly has
Yeah,
some like queerness inside of him that he clearly doesn't want to expose
exactly. Or explore.
or
Um,
explore.
and yeah, exactly. I didn't know anything, but she was able to introduce me to the character, and I got into it. Like I was
Mhm.
able. It wasn't immediate. Um,
Yes.
like Mariana was like immediate. It was like good from the start. But this Vampy was a different for me because it was a build up. So
Yes.
I also really enjoyed watching her performance for that reason. By the end, and she was also like able to interact and banter with the other characters really well.
Mhm.
Um, and I was kind of like expecting her to do well because in the other acting challenge, I thought she was really good. Like
Mhm.
her character was not the most funny, but she was such a good actress, and
Yeah.
I knew that with her being able to choose the character that she was gonna do, that she was gonna do something like this and something great.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, she was in the top for me for sure.
Yeah. Vampy did an amazing job here. Like I said, I felt like I did miss some references because this feels like a very Spanish like character. This person clearly has to do with a lot of like right wing politics in Spain, clearly.
Hmm.
And so a few of
Hmm.
the references were like slightly going above my head, but I still really got this character. I got this character immediately, and I got that we were basically laughing at this character for being so like stupid and like
Hmm.
I will always love a moment in which I can laugh at conservative people. I will always enjoy a moment in which I can do that. But I really got into understanding who this character was. And like you said, it wasn't immediate. It took a few jokes to get there. But once we got there, I really enjoyed what Vampy brought us. And Vampy's just a really great actress. She
Hmm.
really gets into her character and just does not let go. And I will always love an actor or an actress that is able to do this. Like if you're able to constantly be in character and kind of steal the scene even when you're not saying anything, you're doing something right. And I think Vampy is one of these actors that can really be quiet, stay in character, and just steal the entire show. I really enjoyed Vampy. I thought she did amazing. She was definitely up there for me, but I felt like the entire right side of the Snatch Game panel did
Hmm.
amazing. So
Yes.
I don't know if I would have had her in the top, but I was not upset that she was in the top. I will say that.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
it's very close between third and fourth for me. Which speaking
Oh
of,
yeah, yeah, I think so
the
too.
person that I have like around the same place is Chloe Vitu. Let's
Yes,
talk about her. Let's talk about
I
her.
think this was the best surprise. Like
Mhm.
the surprise that I was like the happiest to be like, oh, okay, now we're talking. Now I see it. I see
Yes.
it. Um, but similar to Vampy, it took me a while to be able
Mhm.
to enjoy it. Um, Again, I don't know the character, but I could tell that she was in character. There was a characterization there. There was something. It
Mhm.
was a bit not. It wasn't the same as her persona, like just Chloe,
Mhm.
but it was very similar in a lot of ways to what she is, which I think is a smart choice.
Yes.
To choose either a character that um, works really well for the game and that you can do,
Mhm.
or you choose someone that is very similar to you but has specific characteristics that are good for the game and that you can play up or
Mhm.
add a little bit to that character.
Yes.
Um, like a slutty someone or like a drunk,
Mhm.
like add something another level to that character, which I think maybe she did here or like made it more intense.
Yeah.
And it got more intense with the progression of the game.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
again, she was another person that I think did so well because she did have funny jokes and funny moments.
Mhm.
Um, and she was really good with interacting with everything else that was happening and all of the other characters. Like
Mhm.
by the end, like she was already doing well, but I think her performance was the most like this for me. That it was just
Yeah.
like it, it wasn't up and down or anything. It was just like from the beginning to the end, it just got better and better and better and better
Mhm.
for me.
Yeah.
It started at like a regular, but still, it just by the end, her with La Nina when La Nina threw the dildo and then she got it and did all the like
Insane.
that was the moment. That was
Yeah.
the moment. I'm usually not that much of a fan of like raunchy sexual humor all of the
Mhm.
time. Um, but when it's done correctly and it's like in the right moments and the right amount, because
Yeah.
like sprinkled places, I enjoy it. And this was a time that I really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I think this type of character is a very easy character to do, which is also why I think it's also like a pretty easy character to mess up, because you can
Mhm.
fall back on like being too sexual about this type of character. And I think Chloe did a really good job at both balancing the slutty version of this character and also the stupid version of this character. Like I think she mixed both of those like things really well. And like you said, I feel like this is basically who like Chloe Vitu's character basically is, but exaggerated. And
Mhm.
I feel like it's a very smart choice to do specifically for Chloe, because if like you're not super confident about doing an impersonation, it it might be easier to just basically make a character like play a character that's already similar to you and that's already funny that you know it's gonna do well. And I thought that like Chloe just did a really, really good job. I personally got this character very quickly, and for me, it was a faster climb than it was for you. Like it
Mhm.
climbed a lot faster for me, and I think it like peaked higher than it did for you. Because I really, really enjoyed this performance, and I may not have known this character, but I got like a lot of what this character was, and like I got a lot of like what she was trying to reference. And for me, like it really hit. And it might also be my bias towards Chloe and me wanting her to see her do well and see her be
Or
in
maybe
that top
because you
placement.
speak and understand Spanish 100%,
That's
and then
also
you
very
don't have
likely.
you don't lose anything in translation. That
That's
also I think
also
helps.
very, very
Because
possible.
I understand about like maybe like 50%,
Yeah, we
50 to
have.
70 depending on the moments in episode whatever.
Mhm.
Um but I lose a lot, especially like expressions and things like that, and like the
Yeah,
humor really.
yes,
Um
yes, yes.
but
So yeah, that might also be it. It might also be that like some things were lost in translation. And for me, since I didn't need to translate it, it immediately hit for me. So it's
mhm.
very likely that like some jokes don't translate as well from Spanish to English or Portuguese. So it's likely. But for me, I immediately got it. I thought it was one, like it was really well done. It was one of my favorites. And as I said, maybe it is because of the fact that I also want to see Chloe be in the top at some point, because I think that so far she's been doing better and better and better. Like I've seen an evolution from her that I want to see
Mhm.
her get like some sort of like acknowledgement or some sort of flowers, which she
She kind
did
of did.
kind of get. She
Yeah.
kind of did get, which I think it is this moment in which we can talk a little bit
Bef-
about
Before
the
we go
critiques,
to
but yeah,
the judges and the critiques and all that, I just want to. I don't know if you did. I kind of ranked the performances.
I did. I
Um,
did judge. I did rank the
yeah,
performances.
I have some like ties. Some people that would be like interchanged in some places, but
I have one.
um, yeah, I have two.
Okay.
So Mariana was my number one for sure. Period.
Mhm.
Followed by Le Coco
Mhm.
second, and then Vampy third.
Okay.
That would be my top three for sure. And then fourth and fifth, or could be either. Chloe and La Nina for me, I think.
Okay.
I did look, I really enjoyed La Nina. I really do live for the physical
That's
comedy, and it just,
yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean? I don't know
absolutely
if it,
fair.
because I'm thinking like, is it because I'm biased because it's just I like her as a person, and but it doesn't matter. I don't care. Um, and then so that would be 4 and 5 for either.
That's fair.
And then 6 would be Maggie, only because truly I think she probably did well, but for me, because I didn't get it, I wasn't able to enjoy it. So for me, she was my
Hmm.
6th favorite to watch for me.
That's fair.
Um, but I don't think it would be it would make sense for her to be in the bottom with the reaction in the room.
Yeah.
And then I agree 100% with the bottom. Well, spoiler. I agree that Angelita and Miss Cristo. Honestly, I could not tell you who was like 7 or 8. They did
Mhm.
equally bad, in my opinion. I think.
Yeah, that's very fair. We have a lot of similar things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so my number one is obviously Mariana. No surprise there. My number two is Le Coco. No surprise there. My number three is actually Chloe.
Ooh.
So, but this is where I have my tie because my number three is Chloe. My number four is Vampy, but you could switch them out, and I would not be upset
Mm-hmm.
at all because I felt like both of them did really well. But I felt like Mariana and Le Coco were like the top two of
For
this
sure.
week, so I felt like you could have switched them around, and I would have been absolutely okay with it. Uh, my number five was actually Maggie. I felt, as
Mm-hmm.
I said, perfectly
Yeah.
safe. I had no issues with this. It was fine. My number six was La Nina. I thought she did a pretty good job, but some of the references went above my head. And as I said, this character is just not for me. But between sixth and seventh, there's like a huge gap, like
Yes.
a massive gap. And then we have Angelita, which is my seventh because she had one good moment.
I
She
would
had the
agree with
bear
you.
moment.
Actually, I would change my ranking because I would agree with you. She started
Yeah,
well, so she would be 7. Yes.
yeah. And then she fell flat on her face. Miss Cristo just straight up started with her face in the mud and she just kept digging the hole down. So, yeah, my least favorite, sadly, for this episode was Miss Cristo, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
And yeah, so we do the runway. We get the judges' critiques. Hold on, let me change our
Which, if you
layout.
want to see what we think about the runway looks, check our Look Over Here episode that's going to be posted right after this one.
Yeah, or you can join our Patreon and get it early. Join our Patreon.
Yeah.
Join our Patreon. We're working on some stuff, so you
Mm-hmm.
will be glad to join the Patreon. River will be reacting to some things. I will be reacting to some things. It's gonna be fun. We're working on it, but we get the judges' critiques. We get both Maggie and Chloe are called safe, but
Mm-hmm.
before they leave the stage, we get told like one very quick critique to each of them, which I really enjoyed. I
Yes.
really like that. Like Chloe hasn't been judged at all throughout this entire competition, so I'm glad that she got told something by the judges. So Maggie gets told that like she was very close to being in the bottom and that her her challenge was way better than her runway and that
Mm-hmm.
her challenge kind of kept her out of the bottom, but if it was worse she would have been in the bottom. And Chloe was told that she was very very close to being in the top and to keep going, which I loved. I
I love.
loved.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
Because
this moment.
it kind of tells Chloe that like they see her, they see what she's
Yes,
doing, they're watching, right?
yes,
So I
absolutely.
hope it gives her a little boost of confidence.
Yes. So we get our top three, which luckily for us is Vampirashan, Mariana, and Lecoco. As we've said, we agree with this top three. And when it comes to the winner, the one, the only, our mother has won a challenge. Mariana Stars is the winner of Snatch
Yes.
Game. I was so happy with this.
Period. Queen.
I was so. I for a second I got scared that they were gonna give it to Lecoco. Well, not scared because I would have been happy if Lecoco would have won, but I for a second thought that they were gonna give it to Lecoco because Anna Locking was there, and I was like, oh
Mm,
no, is Mariana gonna get robbed of a win? Because she was, as I said, she was my favorite.
yeah.
And so I was like, oh no, I got scared for a second. But Mariana ended up winning. I am very happy. I am very pleased.
Deserved.
Mariana,
So deserved.
congratulations, bitch. We're so happy for you here at the Cup. And I know
Especially
that
us.
Logan,
Especially
yeah,
us.
and,
If we're
and Logan,
living.
Logan wasn't able to be here, but I did talk to him to figure all of this out beforehand, and he was happy for you as well. So I can also speak for Logan. We're all happy for you, and I'm pretty sure that I can talk for David and Lana and everyone watching this. We're very happy for you. We also get a bottom three,
Hmm.
which unfortunately is La Niña, Angelita, and Miss Cristo. I kind of agree.
Unfortunately, but kind of. Yeah.
As I've said, La Nina and like could have like there's a big difference between La Nina and the other bottom two, which by the way does end up being the bottom two. Angelita and Miss Cristo do end up lip syncing to Mi Amor. Uh, as I said, I was very happy to see that La Nina was safe for a
Yeah,
second.
I don't I listened to the judges'
Mhm.
critiques. Um and I can't really say much because I can't tell if they're correct in what they said.
Yeah,
Um but because I laughed and I enjoyed her performances, so I wouldn't have put her in the bottom. And her look was also pretty good.
yeah,
So, but I get it, and I was just happy that she was not lip syncing, honestly.
yeah. I got why she was in the bottom three. Like for like me and the judges had La Nina on the bottom three for different reasons, but I
Mhm.
understood all of the judges' critiques. But at the same time, as I said, I felt like there was a huge difference between six and seven, and Angelita and Miss Cristo were seventh and eighth. And this lip sync
Oh,
was
baby,
good. It was
baby,
good.
M-
I was
mom.
living for this lip sync.
I was glued to my screen. I was not blinking because I didn't want to
Oh,
miss. I didn't want to miss a thing, baby.
I don't. I can't sing the
It
song.
was no copyright. Um, but yeah, and it was just they both kind of started together, and then Miss Cristo did the reveal with the was it petals like this that
Yeah,
kind
it
of it
was
was
rose
supposed to be
petals.
like blood. Uh, and then Angelita took out the huge receipt and was like like reading like
It was a
send
roll.
from
It was a
and
roll of toilet paper. Like
oh my god.
it was so stupid, but
And then
I'm
with
sure
the
that
all
she.
the hand gestures, the expressions, everything.
Yeah,
Oh,
I felt like Angelita had a way more dynamic performance of this song.
hmm
Like
hmm
as I said, words are hard. I am sorry. The roll of toilet paper was really
Was
funny
it a
to
roll?
me.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it fully was, and I would Angelita, if
Oh,
you're watching
I
this,
need to watch it
please
again just
tell
to
us.
catch
I
that.
need to
Oh
know
my
if it
god.
was, and I also need to know if you went out of your way to tell like the producers. I need to go to the bathroom and stole that roll of toilet paper. Please tell me you stole that roll of toilet paper. I would be living. Anyways, I
Or
think
maybe no, maybe she because Angelita she knew that she was going to be in the bottom because she was aware. So maybe when they were getting ready for the runway, she already had like that in a separate like in a safe location so that she could get it for the lip sync. I think she's
probably
smart like that.
that's also very likely. But when it
Hmm
comes to the actual lip sync, I thought that, as I said, Angelita was way more dynamic. Like the facial like performance that Angelita did and the hands and everything was really speaking to me. And I think that Miss Krista also did really well.
It was two
The
different interpretations, right?
Yeah, it
And they
was.
were both good in their own ways.
Yes,
But I agree with
I
you.
I felt like if Miss Krista was like a bit more dynamic with like how like she could have been more dynamic with her arms just like Angelita was. I felt like she was very closed in, and the song does call for you to be like very into your feelings and everything. But there is a moment where she like does belt out, and like Miss
Mm.
Krista didn't really.
When she pulls out the heart like
Yeah,
that,
I felt like you could have like held it up or like
made it bigger. Yeah.
made it like a bigger moment, because for a second
Hmm.
I couldn't tell that it was a heart. I could tell that it was something coming up, but since it was you were holding it like this, I could
Hmm.
barely tell that it was a heart. So it could have been like a way bigger moment. And like I also think that the performance in the competition did also affect the outcome of this lip sync, because Miss Crystal has been in the bottom three for 3 episodes in a row at this point, and Angelita has been in the
Twice.
bottom twice. So, and also Angelita does have a storyline with Mariana and La Niña, and Miss
I
Crystal
think
really
Angelica
doesn't.
gives more to the producers in the reality show sense of a part
Mhm.
of Drag Race, and I think Miss Cristo is more of the artistic side of Drag Race, which are
Yeah.
both good, necessary, and valid. But I
Mhm.
think I did prefer Angelita's performance, not by much though. But
Yeah.
I did think that she won for sure. But I still think that Miss Cristo did a very good job in that lip sync. In a way that if she had been called the winner, I wouldn't have been shocked or upset.
Yeah. I
Um,
agree.
I wouldn't have agreed, I would be like, oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be
I would
absurd.
not have been upset, but I would not have fully agreed.
Yeah,
Which at the end of the day didn't happen. Miss Krista did end up going home, unfortunately. And Supreme was upset. Supreme
I'm
was
upset.
crying. I I really got to enjoy Miss Krista's drag and artistic vision, because as you can go back yet again, I was not really living for her promo look, and I was like, I don't know, girl, I don't know if I'm gonna enjoy this type of drag. And in the end, I did end up really, really enjoying it, and she definitely like has something so interesting and has such a different perspective of drag, which is unfortunate that we are losing so early on. But in the end of the day, I do think that Angelita did end up winning this lip sync. And not only did she win this lip sync, I think she gave more to the producers when it comes to the actual reality television side, which you mentioned. Like I thought at this point it was sadly unfortunately Miss Crystal's time to go. She had been struggling for the past few episodes, and I it felt like she was just slogging along at this point, and like it felt like she knew. It felt like she knew that.
Like it was time. It was the correct moment. I think.
Yeah, it felt like I was gonna say a mercy kill, maybe not.
Like
Maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't go there. Anyways, it felt like, yeah, it was just time for her to just leave the competition. And like, I still want to see a lot of Miss Cristo. I do want to see her back once she has time to grow and once she has time to like really perfect like things like acting and doing comedy, because if she is able to really get into that, I feel like she will be unstoppable.
I think she can. Like she could be a like Aubrey Plaza kind of funny actress
Yeah.
in that like deadpan kind of like I see that for her if she goes into that direction, you know.
Yes,
Um
absolutely.
I think that's what we could come out of it.
Yeah. Hopefully,
Now
hopefully,
I'm
Miss
sad
Krista.
to lose another member of my team, but I think we got
Yeah,
to see a lot from her, and what we got to see was really good, mostly.
yeah. Which, speaking of update, I don't have one. Sorry.
Oh, we don't have, okay. I don't have to be sad about my draft result.
From the very quick numbers that I did, I believe I'm still last. I believe you're still fourth
Fourth?
because there's five
We
of
have
us,
five?
right?
I think so.
I'm in fifth. You're in fourth. Logan is in third. I believe Alana is second and David is first because David has both Mariana and Vampirashan on his team. So he already has 9 points, and I believe he also hasn't lost anyone on his team, maybe. So David is kind of killing us right now. So that's no surprise at all. Yay. But
Congratulations, David.
yeah, wow, David, you're winning another draft. What a shock. This is shocking. I am shocked. I love you, David, so much. I'm sorry. Uh, but yeah, that was it. Go look at our look over here, which we will be
Mhm.
posting the day, I think the day after this comes out. So join our Patreon if you want that early. But if not, we will see you tomorrow for a look over here. Make sure to subscribe, like, and get your merch, do all the things. We have all of our social media links down below, and they're also running on the screen. Logan and Lana and David may not be here, but their links are still
Go follow
there.
them. Go
Go
follow them
follow
right here.
them. Also, go listen to our interview with Pangina and our episode with Tessa Testicle.
Period.
They're both very different, but very fun. Go check that out. Check out all of our other channels and all our audio links down below. And with that being said, we are done. So,
Yeah.
cheers.
Cheers.
Let me just end the recording. Where's the. Be sure to follow us. Goodbye.